I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, are you ready for some pulse-quickening sci-fi? Well, look no further than the two books we are about to discuss. They are a wild blend of romance, courage, bravery, and lots and lots and lots of action. The books are called Phoenix Rising and Phoenix Rising, Andromeda's Prince. They're both written by Alvin Council Jr., and we are delighted to have him here right now on Spotlight as a guest. Welcome, Alvin. Good to see you today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir. Love your books. Obviously, one is the original, the other is the sequel. Let's start with the original, Phoenix Rising. How did you come up with this awesome idea?
I was on a security rotation after I got out of the military, walking around and was, just doing regular security patrol in the apartment complexes that I was assigned to. Uh, One night I just happened to look up at the stars and there's a meteor shower, so and it just kind of came to me at that time. So I just started writing down the thoughts that I had each night. You know, as I put it all together, it came into a nice little story.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you kind of blended a lot of elements here. You've got a princess, you've got an admiral, you've got the White House, you've got terrorist strikes. You've kind of like compiled a bunch of genres together to come up with your sci-fi story. Tell the audience what it's basically about.
It's about a retired military man who wants to settle down in California with his family, raise his sons. But one night, as he's on his security patrols, he encounters or he's taken away from what he wanted. And when he wakes up, he finds himself in a nice little cell all by himself for about 6 months and no one to talk to. Eventually, he gets a cellmate and they hit it off. He has to, he ends up taking care of her because she's injured, and he realizes that she's a princess once she finally wakes up. And roughly, it's about how they live the next few years as they wait to get back to their own homes.
Awesome, awesome. That is Admiral Couture and Princess Aduna. Their stories begin in the first book, Phoenix Rising, and then they continue, I believe, into Andromeda's Prince, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And tell me about writing these books. Did it take you a while? They're pretty detailed. Their descriptions are wonderful. Tell me about the writing process for you.
I actually wrote them pretty quick. I would sit down during lunch and I would, hammer out some details on paper, and then when I got home, I'd put it in the computer, type it up, and then I'd edit it all at the same time. And I think both books took me about a year and a half to write.
Wonderful, wonderful. And tell me what the reaction has been to Phoenix Rising from the fans you've heard from.
Everybody I've talked to said that they enjoyed it. I haven't heard any negative reviews yet, so I'm
Are you
looking.
waiting to write another part of this story? Will there be a trilogy in Phoenix Rising?
Yes, I'm working on a book right now.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, the hero sounds a little bit like you. You're a former Navy man, correct?
Yes, I
So,
based a, I based a lot of the characters on people I actually knew, so made it a little bit easier to work with.
and also you having been in the military, kind of know how military operations obviously work. So that kind of real life experience really worked well when you decided to novelize it and put it into dramatic sci-fi form.
Yes, sir.
Now, tell me about this as a movie because it's such a visual book. I could picture it as a movie right away. Who's your cast? Who's your director? Come on, I know you've got to be thinking about this a little bit.
Oh, I was thinking more maybe somebody like Will Smith as the lead character for
Mhm.
the military man, and I really hadn't thought about anybody else as far as who characters were. Figure that the guys who actually make the movies would best know who to pick and what characteristics they needed. So,
Exactly. I can definitely see Will Smith as Admiral Couture. I could see Chris Pratt as Admiral Couture. You need a larger than life hero for that
mhm.
figure.
Yes, sir.
So tell me a little bit about the second book, Andromeda's Prince. It picks up where the first story left off, and let's fill the audience in a little bit about what that's all about.
So the second book takes place. They're on their way back to his new wife's home world on the other side of on the other side of the galaxy in the Andromeda or in the Orion constellation. And on the way home, he's having to deal with PTSD from his first mission on aboard Andromeda. It was a tragic mission, so it kind of goes into detail of what happened during that mission, as well as him dealing with his new life as a prince, which is something he didn't really want to do. All he wanted to do was be a good father and husband and live the rest of his life, but he got pulled into that. So that's where that is.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now, tell me a little bit about your influences. What are some of the sci-fi works of fiction that you like, whether it be movies or books?
I would read Star Trek novels
Mhm.
and anything sci-fi on television. I'll sit down and watch. That was those were some of my biggest influences.
As far as the different iterations of Star Trek go, which was your favorite? Was it the original Kirk? Is it Chris Pine? Tell me.
I like the Deep Space Nine series on the space station.
Gotcha.
That one was my favorite.
Yeah, I think among heavy duty sci-fi fans, that's the one that really sticks out, right? It's a little more multi-leveled,
Yes,
multi-layered than some of the others.
yes, sir.
Absolutely. Now, you're from Stone Mountain, Georgia originally?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
That was where I
cool. I
was
used
raised.
to be a TV news reporter at WAGA TV in Atlanta, so I spent a
Ah,
lot of time up in the that area by Stone Mountain. Tell me a little bit about your background. You spent quite a bit of time in the military, right? This was not just one tour of duty.
right. I spent 22 years. Most of that time was spent in Asia and Japan. Did two I did two deployments to the Middle East, and then I came back home, and my son said he didn't want me to go back to the ship anymore. So I said, okay, I'll retire.
Gotcha, gotcha. Very cool. And tell me a little bit about what you do when you're not writing. What kind of work do you do? Are you still in Georgia?
No, I'm living in California. That's where I retired with my sons.
Yep.
Right now, I'm working at a hospital. I'm one of the housekeeping supervisors.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So you're keeping busy. You look like a young guy. It's hard to believe you did 22 years of service. It didn't do you any harm, I see.
No, not yet.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. How are you progressing on book three? Where are you so far?
I am actually reviewing it for a third time to make sure, all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Make sure put the right spelling on everything. So I've got using a couple apps to check it up for me.
Who's your first reader when you're done creating something? Who do you generally give it to first?
My mother, she
Great.
requested, she requested first hit. So,
Wonderful.
so
You're
she
lucky you
gets,
have a mom. You know, reading somebody's work is work. So if you have like a mom or a sister, my sister reads all my work. My wife doesn't read it, my sister does. But it's nice to have her read it. And does she enjoy it? I know it's kind of a guy's genre in a way, sci-fi, but not really. Tell me your mom's review when she reads it.
she goes over it like an English teacher, making sure everything is grammatically correct. So I had to go back and tell her like, hey, that's a dialogue. We don't want to change the dialogue at all. But she seems to enjoy it, even though sci-fi is not really her area.
Gotcha. And have your kids been able to enjoy the books yet?
No, they're not interested in it. They're the new age where you say book and they say, "What's that?" If it's not on a tablet, they're not reading it.
Exactly, exactly. Well, maybe we can put it into a video game form, and then they would play it for sure and enjoy it for sure.
Most likely.
Are you working on anything else besides sci-fi right now?
No, sir. Just
Okay,
sci-fi.
that's your specialty. Tell me about your experiences at working in the Navy. What was what's the one moment that stands out to you most during your years of service?
Uh, I would say the when I'd go out on deck at night just to watch the moon rise and the sunset. Those were, things I only saw in the movies until I went out there one night when I wasn't supposed to and just started watching it. It was pretty nice.
Gotcha. So it's a natural progression that you went from landlocked to Georgia, or basically landlocked to California, where it could be closer to the sea.
Yes, sir.
Sounds good. Well, the books are called Phoenix Rising and Phoenix Rising Andromeda's Prince. And Alvin, where can folks get these books?
Amazon, any place, any of the online media outlets.
Exactly. So you just Google Phoenix Rising, Alvin Council Jr. It comes up. We'll have some links under this interview as well. The books are sensational. They're pulse quickening, like I said. They're cool love stories. There are lots of action. And it's very, very real because the author has spent a lot of time serving our nation and he learned a thing or two about combat. Alvin Council Jr., thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thanks, sir. You have a good day.
You too, sir. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.